Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Wednesday, December 4th, 2013. Let's jump right into the charts here. We're going to start off with the usual S&P 500 E-mini futures. You're going to see that the futures are trading lower this morning by about 3 3/4 points to 1787 and 3/4. So once again, futures are coming under a little bit of distribution again this morning. I don't know how much we could make out of this, but they were higher around 3 o'clock in the morning, have come down, and then have caught a little bit of a bid. There was a lot of news out this morning, but first, before we get into the news, I do want to talk about the foreign markets for a minute. Last night in Asia, you did have the Nikkei 225 index finish down over 2% last night. So if you take a look at that chart of the Nikkei 225, and we'll pull that up for you right now, you'll see that this is a pretty big decline. Now, the Nikkei's been on a tear to the upside, but when you get a move like this, and it's a 2% move, over 2%, you do want to take note of it. So, pretty big decline last night in the Nikkei 225 index. Now, on the flip side, the Shanghai Composite was up over 1%. So, the Shanghai really made a nice move higher. So, offsetting some movement in Asia, you did have the Nikkei 225, which is Japan, down over 2%. The Shanghai Composite, which is China, mainland China, that was up over 1%, actually up 1.3% last night. So a real mixed bag of tricks for the most part. You did have the Indian Bombay Sensex Index down about 0.7%, and the Singapore Straits Times Index down about 0.8%. So for the most part, Asia was weaker. The one bright spot in Asia last night was China, meaning the Shanghai was up 1.32% last night. So again, we'll have to watch and see how this all plays out. In Europe this morning, Europe is lower across the board. German DAX down over 1% at the moment. So usually Germany will take the lead from the S&P 500 once the markets open up here in the United States. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yesterday Europe did sell off sharply, and today a little bit of follow-through downside, at least this morning, from what we're seeing before the opening bell in the United States. Now there is a few other things that you want to note real quickly. At 8:15 this morning, the U.S. ADP job report was released. It looks like the job report came out stronger than expected. I think it was they reported over 200,000 jobs, or just above 200,000 jobs. Yeah, I think it was 215,000 exactly. Again, we don't care about the number so much. What we care about is the reaction in the market. And you could see initially, if we just go back to the intraday chart, the futures really started to even sell off. They were down already, and then they started to sell off even more. And that really comes on the back of, hey, if the job report is really good, the Fed will have to taper. So that's the logic behind the markets right now. Good news is sometimes bad news, and bad news is sometimes good news. It's kind of distorted, but that's the way markets operate. They're always looking for the easy money. The institutional money loves low interest rates. They love easy money. They love all that money printing by the Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world. So that's how it kind of works. A good job report will bring us one step closer to a tapering. Now, I have no idea if the Fed will taper later this month, or if they'll taper sometime next year, or if they won't taper at all. I really just don't know. But what I do know is hopefully the charts will tell us what they're going to do and where to get positioned in the market according to the setups that are being formed on the chart. So that's what you always want to watch for. That's what you have to look for. Let's take a look at some stocks out here today. EXPR, which is Express Inc., retailer, just getting absolutely annihilated. I will have some gap levels for this equity posted in the chat room at 9 o'clock. So in about 10-12 minutes, I'll put those up in the chat room. Those of you that want to play the morning gaps, we should have at least 2 or 3 plays. So we'll see how that plays out. But Express is taking the Express route to the downside this morning. Stock closed at around $24.67, trading at $19.83 now. That is not a pretty picture. Potential downside in the cards still to come for that name. Another one I'm looking at here is Bob Evans. Not a lot of volume on this one. So this stock really getting hit pretty sharply. I'll have some levels for this one. Right now I'm leaning more towards the $48 area for some support. But this is just so thin. It doesn't have a lot of volume to it. On a daily basis, I'd probably say it trades about 100,000 shares a day. So it's always a little bit on the tougher side to trade equities with such light volume as that one. You may see some volatility today in JP Morgan. It looks like they're settling another lawsuit here. It looks like they're one of 8 banks to settle. I believe they're going to settle in with some European group about collusion in setting benchmark interest rates. So no real surprise there. We knew that's already been out. So you don't want to make much of it, but they're going to have to pay a hefty fine, and they've been paying hefty fines for the last several months, and the stock still continues to go higher. So again, you don't want to make too much out of it, but it could be a volatile name today. JP Morgan settling another lawsuit, this time for collusion in setting benchmark interest rates. So we'll see how that all plays out. That could affect other bank stocks as well, but keep that on the radar. That could be a little bit volatile today. We'll see how that all shakes out a little bit later. There are a few other names out here that are moving around, but nothing that I'm seeing worthy of really mentioning. Keep an eye on JCPenney's today. Big short position that is seeing some short covering. Today, the stock is rolled over a little bit in the pre-market, but nonetheless, it closed at $10.11. It's trading at $9.90. Again, I think the stock still has potentially a little bit more upside. Not that much left in it, but it does have a little bit of upside, in my opinion, maybe to around $10.85, $11. That may not happen today, but in due time. So, again, that would be the maximum I see that stock going up. And we'll just see how that all plays out. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, the Federal Reserve will release its beige book. So you want to watch that economic news. I believe that's at 2 p.m. So keep that on the radar. Let's take a look at oil. We'll start off with the USO. What you'll see here is that the USO is trading really a little bit higher today. It's trading at $34.38. This move in oil, which is a good proxy for watching light sweet crude, comes as light sweet crude itself is up $1.03, $1.02 to 97.06. So again, light sweet crude has really caught a good rebound recently, and like we said, oil has a lot of support down at these lower levels. USO more specifically has a lot of support around the $33.50 level if it were to plunge. But right now, I don't see that happening. Oil's holding up fine. Take a look at gold this morning. Gold is trading a little higher. It is trading higher by $3.50 to $12.24 an ounce. Let's take a look at the GLD. And what you'll see here in the GLD is that the GLD right now is trading around 118.11. It closed at 117.96. So it's not a big move higher by any stretch, but just it's kind of surprising to see gold hold up despite the dollar-yen chart. And I'll show you the dollar-yen chart, which is right here. And dollar-yen has caught a pretty good bounce, really beginning around 8 o'clock this morning. So I should say 8:15. Once that ADP job report was released, dollar-yen caught a pretty good bid. Remember, if the dollar-yen starts to fall, that's going to be a negative for the stock market. Okay, so you want to keep that correlation on watch. I highlighted this yesterday in the In the Money Stocks Rant and Rave blog. So you may want to go back and take a look at that. But if the stock market is to go higher, it usually is going to go higher with a stronger dollar-yen. If the yen starts to strengthen against the U.S. dollar, which means the dollar-yen chart goes lower, that usually is beneficial for gold, and it is also one of the causes of a weaker stock market in the S&P 500. So keep that correlation on watch at all times, and we'll see how it all plays out. But right now, for gold purposes, the GLD trading up a little bit higher, around 118.06, and spot gold up about $3 at the moment. With that said, everybody, I want to wish you all a great trading day, and we'll see you all on the charts. Take care now.